My mom pointed across the Christmas table and said, "Your sister deserves the house more than you." Everyone nodded. My plate sat untouched. Then the doorbell rang and everything changed. My name is Emily Carter, and I'm 34 years old. I work as a dental hygienist in a small clinic, living a quiet life in the same town where I grew up. I wasn't the favorite. That role always belonged to my younger sister, the one who could do no wrong in my parents' eyes. I was the practical one, the one who paid bills on time, drove my parents to doctor appointments, and showed up for every single holiday without being asked. I didn't have a flashy career or an impressive social life, but I had something my family never expected me to have. For years, they assumed I'd stay quiet, stay grateful, and accept whatever scraps they decided to give me. If you've ever felt invisible inside your own family, hit subscribe and tell me your story in the comments. You are not alone here. And if you've ever been underestimated by the people who were supposed to love you most, click hype right now.
The Christmas dinner was supposed to feel warm. Turkey on the table, candles flickering, the faint smell of pine from the wreath on the door. My sister arrived late, laughing too loudly, carrying an expensive gift bag for Mom like she was making an entrance at a party. Then my mom stood up and tapped her glass. The sound cut through every conversation in the room. "We've decided something important," she announced, her voice steady and sure. She pointed at my sister. "The house will go to her. She deserves stability more than you do." My fork froze halfway to my mouth. I had spent years helping with repairs, covering property taxes when money was tight, and not once had any of that been mentioned tonight. My sister smirked at me. "You're doing fine, Emily. I actually need it." My dad stared into his drink and said nothing. I asked carefully, "So all those payments I helped with meant nothing?" My mom shrugged. "Families make sacrifices." Awkward laughter rippled around the table. The humiliation burned deep in my chest. Then the doorbell rang, sharp and sudden. My cousin Rachel walked in behind a man carrying a leather folder. He introduced himself without smiling. "I'm the attorney handling your father's estate documents." My mom snapped immediately. "We didn't invite a lawyer tonight." The attorney replied calmly that my father had requested the will be reviewed before the end of the year. My sister rolled her eyes. "This is ridiculous. We already know what Dad wanted." Mom pulled me into the kitchen before I could respond. She whispered sharply, "Don't embarrass this family tonight. Just agree the house goes to your sister." I looked at her steadily. "Why would I do that?" She sighed like I was exhausting her. "Because you've always been the reasonable one." When we walked back into the dining room, my sister was already performing for the relatives. "Emily doesn't need a house anyway," she said loudly, laughing. "She still lives like a college student." Several people chuckled. My face burned. I stayed silent. The lawyer calmly placed a thick stack of documents on the table. "Your father asked that all beneficiaries be present." My dad finally looked up and spoke quietly. "Let's just hear him out." My mom crossed her arms. My sister leaned back in her chair like she had already won. She turned to me and whispered, "Relax. Everyone knows this house was meant for me." What they didn't know was that my father and I had been having private conversations for years. He knew exactly who had shown up, who had paid, and who had quietly kept that house standing. A few months earlier, he had asked me to help him organize old financial records and property documents. I thought he just wanted help getting things in order, but during one of those afternoons, he said something I didn't fully understand at the time. "Someday, people will show you who they really are," he told me. "When that happens, make sure you listen carefully." I had turned those words over in my mind without knowing what they meant, but sitting at that Christmas table, watching my sister smile like the story was already finished, I suddenly understood. My father had not been getting organized. He had been preparing. My cousin Rachel quietly moved her chair closer to mine as the tension thickened around the table. Rachel had always been the one who noticed when things weren't fair, the one the rest of the family called difficult because she refused to pretend. She whispered, "Emily, did you know about this meeting?" I shook my head. She frowned toward my sister. They've been acting like this house belongs to her for months. My mom's patience was running out. "Can we hurry this up?" she snapped at the lawyer. My sister laughed softly. "Yeah, we already know how this ends." The lawyer didn't react. He opened the folder and arranged the pages in a neat row. Rachel squeezed my arm. "Something feels different tonight," she whispered. Across the table, my mom poured more wine and announced to the room, "Let's get this over with so we can celebrate." Their confidence filled every corner of that dining room. They truly believed the story was already written, and they were simply waiting for the last page.
The lawyer cleared his throat and began reading. "This is the final 12-page will, signed and witnessed 6 months ago." My sister leaned forward. "Just skip to the part about the house," she said impatiently. He ignored her completely and kept reading. When he reached a specific paragraph, he paused. "The family home will be transferred to the person who has contributed the most to its upkeep and financial stability." My sister smiled widely. "Exactly," she said. The lawyer finished the sentence without looking up. "According to documented records, that person is Emily Carter." The room went completely silent. My mom blinked. "That can't be right," she said. The lawyer slid several receipts and property tax records across the table without any expression on his face. "Your father kept detailed documentation of every repair, payment, and financial contribution made over the years." My sister's smile disappeared. Then the lawyer added one final line. "Mr. Carter also specified that any attempt to pressure Emily into surrendering the property will void other family inheritances entirely." My mom's wine glass froze in midair. My sister stared at me. "You planned this?" I shook my head slowly. "No," I said quietly. "Dad did." The rest of the evening collapsed into silence and awkward excuses. My mom kept insisting there had to be a mistake. The lawyer calmly explained every detail page by page without rushing. My sister refused to look at me. Rachel gave me a small, quiet smile from across the table, and it meant more than any loud celebration could have. For the first time in years, I felt something settle in my chest. I didn't need their approval. I never had. My father had seen the truth long before that Christmas dinner. I picked up my coat and stepped outside into the cold night air. Behind me, the house stood exactly where it always had, but it didn't feel like a battlefield anymore. It felt like a fresh start. If your family ever tried to take something that rightfully belonged to you, you know exactly how much that hurts. Share your story in the comments, subscribe to stay connected here, and click hype to help someone else find this story when they need it most. Your story has power. Thank you for being here and listening.